Hello, this is my practice speech for the Be the Hero of Your Own Movie speech. How I went from struggling to successful. Who here knows what it's like to have an addiction? Today we're going to talk about how I got to my lowest point, what rock bottom was like for me, and how I got back on top. And I will also have quotes from close family members so that it will paint a more vivid picture of what it was like for me. Before anything else, let's talk about how I got to my lowest point in my life. There are two major things that happened. I stopped caring about my responsibilities and I made drugs a priority. Firstly, important responsibilities were put on the back burner. I called in sick at work a lot and I had to quit both my jobs because I kept calling in. I also couldn't keep up with my homework load and I had to drop out of school eventually. Secondly, I made drugs a priority over everything else. I stopped spending time with family members and I isolated so that I could do more drugs. I spent all my money on it and I went broke. It became a game of obtaining, using, and looking for more drugs. It was never ending. I ended up eventually getting kicked out of my dad's house and I was willing to be homeless with no car to continue using. Morgan was causing such a disruption in my complex that she was going to get me kicked out, and she kept bringing drug addicts into my home, so I had to kick her out, was stated by my dad, Lloyd Price, about that time in my life. In summary, I neglected my responsibilities and made drugs a priority. Now that I have told you how I went lower than ever, I will tell you what it was like at the absolute rock bottom point. At rock bottom, I did things I would normally have never have done, and I tried to get clean many times but failed. First, I did things I would never do had I not been high. I was homeless for years and was always on the streets walking around, at one point living in a rat-infested shed in the backyard of an abandoned house. I did not care. I disrespected and disregarded my loved ones completely. I always disregarded their feelings and did not care how they felt. My personal hygiene was horrible, and I once went without bathing for 11 days straight, and I plucked all my eyebrows out in the same week. A moment that stood out in my memory is my cousin Amy's wedding. You arrived late and were nodding out at the table. I suspected you were high, and when I said as much and got angry, you got angry and left. This was said by my mother, Patricia Price, about my cousin's wedding about 10 years ago when I showed up high. Next, I tried to get clean but had no success. I tried to get clean all on my own just by withdrawing without any medical professional help, but it was way too hard and it was a lost cause. I also tried methadone, but that didn't help either because I ended up just doing drugs with the methadone and got twice as high. I went to many rehabs but left after a few days because the minute I started withdrawing and feeling any sort of pain or discomfort, I thought about drugs and went running for the hills. To conclude, at my rock bottom point, I did things I normally would never do and tried to get clean but never really succeeded. Now that you know what my rock bottom was like, let me tell you how I got out of that pit and back on top. To get back on top, I worked a program and built a support system. Firstly, I worked a program each and every day. I go to AA and NA meetings frequently to hear what other people have to say, hear their inputs and thoughts, and speak my own truth about my own experiences as well. I'm very spiritual now. I have conscious contact with a higher power and I pray every day. I also live by a certain set of principles such as work hard, be honest, and be kind and compassionate to the people around you. Secondly, I built a support system for myself. I have a sponsor who is currently helping me go through the AA steps in the AA literature, the 12 steps, of course. And she is always there for me to talk to if I need it. I also have family members to talk to if I need it. I have my mom and dad, my mom's fiance, my brother, and my cousins, aunts, uncles. I have lots of family to turn to now, especially my mom. She's like my best friend now, where we once had a horrible relationship. We now talk every day about anything and everything. Also, I have friends that I can look up to and spend time with. In summary, how I got back up from down in my rock bottom was by working a program and having a support system. To conclude, I enjoyed telling you today how I fell from grace, what my rock bottom was like, and how I live a better life today. This is why I would be the hero of my own movie. If you know anyone struggling with addiction, consider reaching out to them just to say hello and let them know you are here for them today. Thank you.